A soldier heard a girl say, "Please don't let them find me." The truth left him frozen in place. In the desolate junkyard, Ethan Cole, a former Special Forces operative, was walking through the familiar trail leading to his cabin when a strange sound broke the silence. Instead of the usual clanks of metal or the rustling wind, it was the sound of a muffled sob. Ethan stopped, his instincts kicking in, scanning the shadows. The sound came from an old concrete pipe lying among the rubble. He crouched, peering into the darkness. Inside, curled tightly in a ball, was a young girl, dirty, with matted hair and a face streaked with tears. Her eyes were swollen, and she was clutching a tattered teddy bear. She was no older than 7 or 8. When their gazes met, she flinched, shrinking back even further, her trembling voice barely a whisper. "Don't let them see me. Please, sir. Please help me." Ethan's heart clenched. He had heard many desperate pleas, but this one struck something deep within him. He extended a hand toward the girl. "Come on, I'm getting you out of here," he said, his voice calm but firm. She hesitated for a moment before taking his hand. As he lifted her from the pipe, he noticed how fragile she was. She clung to him tightly, her teddy bear pressed to her chest. There was no time to waste. Ethan moved swiftly through the junkyard, using shadows and hidden paths known only to locals or those with his survival instincts. The sound of an approaching vehicle made Ethan's senses go on high alert. It wasn't just a passing car, it was a vehicle creeping, searching. Ethan had been hunted in combat zones before. This was no different. He picked up the pace. The small cabin on the outskirts of town was hidden well among the trees. As they reached it, Ethan quickly secured the door behind them, shutting out the ominous noise from the junkyard. Inside, the cabin was simple but warm, the light from a kerosene lamp and a crackling fireplace cutting through the chill in the air. He set Lily down, but she didn't move. She still clung to her teddy bear, watching him with wide, fearful eyes. Ethan knew it would take time for her to feel safe. He didn't force her to talk, but let her adjust to the new space. As he prepared a mug of warm milk and cookies, he kept a safe distance, watching her carefully. Lily was still silent, her body stiff with tension. The night was far from over. The night passed quietly, though Ethan could tell that Lily was still haunted by her memories. When morning light crept through the cabin's windows, he found her still curled up, clutching her teddy bear. The terror from the previous day hadn't completely left her eyes, but at least she wasn't shaking like she had been when he first found her. Ethan knew that time, not force, was what she needed now. After breakfast, he gently approached the subject that weighed heavily on his mind. "Lily," he asked softly, "do you remember what happened to your parents?" Her eyes flickered with fear, but she didn't respond immediately. Ethan didn't press. He knew better than to rush her. Instead, he took her outside. "Want to help me with the garden today?" he asked. The fresh air, the soft sunlight filtering through the trees, and the quiet of the woods seemed to calm her, even if only a little. She nodded, clutching her bear tighter, but she didn't protest as he handed her a small watering can. As they worked in silence, Lily's eyes were focused on the bear. Ethan, ever observant, noticed that she had barely looked away from it, even when watering the plants. The teddy bear seemed to be more than just a comfort. It was a lifeline, an anchor to a life she had once known and lost. Later, while they rested, Ethan tried again, asking about the bear. "It's dirty," he said gently. "Let me wash it for you, it'll be clean again, just like new." But Lily's grip tightened around the bear, her fear palpable. "No," she whispered, her eyes wide with panic. "Dad bought it for me at the fair." She seemed to retreat even further into herself, clutching the bear tighter. Ethan knew there was more to this bear than she was letting on, but he didn't push. Instead, he reassured her, promising to keep the bear safe. And as he carefully washed the teddy bear, he felt a strange weight settle on his chest. Something was hidden inside it. When the bear was dry, Ethan carefully examined it. His military instincts kicked in as he noticed something odd, a seam along the bear's spine, carefully sewn but not quite perfect. Curiosity mixed with caution as he slowly pried the seam open. Inside, tucked between the stuffing, was a small cylindrical object, a metal keychain in the shape of an owl. Ethan twisted it open to find a mini USB drive inside. His breath caught in his throat. This wasn't just a child's toy. It was a secret, a powerful one. The USB could be the key to unraveling the mystery of Lily's parents and their deaths. Ethan didn't open it yet. Instead, he tucked it away safely. His mind raced. Lily had unknowingly become part of something far darker than he'd imagined. The quiet life Ethan had carved out for himself was no longer an option. He was no longer just a reclusive soldier. He had become Lily's protector and, now, the keeper of a dark secret. The discovery of the USB drive sealed that fate. It contained proof of a criminal network so deeply embedded in the town's power structure that it could topple everything. But first, he had to get that information into the right hands and keep Lily safe. Days passed, and the subtle signs that they were being watched grew more obvious. Ethan had always trusted his instincts, and now they were screaming at him. One afternoon, while checking traps along the property's edge, he noticed a fresh, deliberate break in a tree branch. Unfamiliar boot prints marked the soft earth. Someone was out there, someone who didn't belong. As night fell, the sounds of movement in the woods outside his cabin became clearer. Flashlights swept across the trees. He knew they were getting closer. Ethan immediately began preparing for the inevitable confrontation. He checked his rifle, secured the trapdoor behind the kitchen, and prepared a small bag with supplies for him and Lily. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on his shoulders. Lily, sensing the change, stayed close to him. She looked at him with those wide, innocent eyes that had seen too much for someone her age. Ethan sat with her for a moment, showing her the basic hand signals she would need to understand in case of danger. Silence. Follow me. Danger. Hide. She absorbed them quickly, her trust in him unwavering. At dusk, as the first raindrops began to fall, Ethan knew the time had come. He grabbed Lily's hand and motioned for her to follow him through the forest. They moved quickly, but silently, the sounds of the storm masking their footsteps. The rain began pouring down harder, turning the ground slick and making the woods feel alive with tension. They reached the abandoned quarry, their secret rendezvous point, just as a black SUV approached. It wasn't Earl's men. It was David Miller, the federal agent Ethan had contacted. Miller's eyes swept over them, taking in their bedraggled state, but he didn't need any words. He knew the danger they were in. "Lily, come here," Ethan said, his voice thick with exhaustion but filled with relief. "This is Mr. Miller. He's going to help us." Without hesitation, Lily walked over to the man, still clutching her teddy bear. As Ethan watched her walk away, he felt the burden lift from his shoulders. The fight wasn't over, but at least Lily was safe, for now. The dark storm clouds above seemed to reflect the storm inside him. He had one last thing to do. With the evidence from the USB drive and Lily's testimony, the FBI launched a full-scale investigation into the corruption at the heart of the town's power structure. Within weeks, the mayor, the police chief, and Earl Bear Riggins were arrested, their criminal activities laid bare for everyone to see. The case shook the town to its core. Justice had been served, but the real victory wasn't in the arrests. It was in the quiet peace that followed. Lily's laughter, her smile, the warmth of their small cabin in the snow. The trauma was far from gone, but it was no longer in control. Ethan had found a new purpose in life, one he never expected. The soldier who had spent years in the dark corners of the world, fighting wars far from home, had finally found a reason to fight for something greater. For Lily, for the future they would build together. And as the first snowflakes fell, blanketing the forest in a soft white silence, Ethan knew their journey was far from over. But for the first time in a long while, he could face it with hope in his heart. The darkness had not won, and neither had the past. They were both free. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep